Derrell Peel, our livestock marketing specialist, joins us now. Derrell, big news out of Kansas this week, that fire at the Tyson packing plant. Tell us a little bit first, just what happened.
On Friday, August 9th, a fire broke out in the evening at the Finney County plant for Tyson. It's near Holcomb, Kansas, just west of Dodge City. So the fire was a very major fire, burned well into Saturday. The plant, of course, is closed down at this point in time. So that's a significant impact on slaughter capacity in the country. That plant alone accounted for somewhere in the neighborhood of 5% of our weekly kill capacity in terms of the packing industry, the beef packing industry. So the immediate reaction was very strong. Live and feeder cattle futures were down, limit down early in the week. We saw an immediate reaction in box beef markets. Again, this disrupts both the flow of meat coming out of the plant as well as the ability to slaughter cattle on the purchase side. So those impacts were very huge early in the week. Those impacts will, some of those impacts will work their way out of the system fairly quickly, but the longer term impacts remain very unknown at this time.
Let's dive into those longer term impacts. Do we have any idea maybe what could happen and kind of how folks could just start planning for that?
Well, we do have some history a little bit like this. In fact, in that same area, on Christmas Day in 2000, a ConAgra plant basically burned to the ground. So a very similar event in a very similar region. That plant, initially the company said they would reopen that plant. Later they decided basically to just abandon it, and it never reopened. Again, Tyson has said they're going to reopen this one, but what that means exactly at this point I think is still unknown. But we do have some basis for that. For the broader market, it's really difficult to say how long these impacts might last. They will certainly come down from these initial effects, and that's probably the most important thing for the industry to keep in mind, is that you have these initial impacts that are very large. They reflect a lot of the uncertainty, and over time, as we get more information and also just as the market has time to adjust, we'll see those impacts gradually work their way out of the system.
With that scenario in mind, what kind of guidance do you have for producers?
Well, again, this has happened before. We've survived this before, so I guess the first thing is really don't panic. Obviously, some people are caught in the short run and just really can't do a lot to avoid the impacts of this. That's primarily going to be fed cattle that were scheduled to go to that plant initially and obviously aren't going to, so they have to be dealt with. The broader impacts, especially impacts down to the feeder cattle market level, is really just related to the overall uncertainty that's affecting the industry right now. So I would tell producers, especially feeder cattle producers right now, give it a little time. There may be some residual impacts by then, but I would say they're going to minimize a lot from what we're seeing here initially.
Okay, Derrell, thanks a lot. Keep us posted.
All right.